Okay, a busy day right across the spectrum. Let's hear what my feisty panellists think of the big news this weekend. I'm joined by Prue MacSween and Senator Holly Hughes. Richo's joining us in just a second, I've been told. Welcome, team.
Hi, Smithy. Hi, Holly.
Good to have your company. Firstly to you, Prue, these three new tranches of a harder lockdown in New South Wales, in Sydney in particular, too soft or too hard?
Oh, gosh, it's just so hard to know, isn't it? Look, I think we had to do it. I agree with you on the construction front. I think that if you work outdoors, you should be allowed to do so, given how crucial it is for our economy. Look, clearly people are not following the rules. I heard the mayors saying that they were. There's a lot of defiance out there, not just in Southwest, but I think we needed that ring. We needed the surveillance testing. Let's hope it works. But in the end, if you don't want to be vaccinated, don't be. Let the rest of us get on with our lives. I'm a bit over it. I think most people are now, and I think it may be time for us to have a serious conversation, the government, with us, and those of us who want to be vaccinated and get on with our lives should be allowed to do so, and let the others worry about whether they're going to get COVID or not.
Holly, I've got an email here from one of our viewers. Jeff from Melbourne says, Chris, I'm sick of Sydney-siders complaining about the lockdown. We are in Victoria. You don't know what a real lockdown is until you've been locked in your homes for 22 hours a day for 4 months. You are in your second lockdown. We are in our fifth Andrew's stupid, contradictory, harsh lockdown. Toughen up New South Wales. Should we?
Look, I don't know who your Victorian is emailing you, but certainly the abuse I get from Victorians in their support of lockdowns, I find extraordinary. Yep, okay, I made the call on another TV show that Gladys doesn't do lockdowns, which was conveniently 24 hours before we went into one. But the volume of hate that I get from Victorians proudly supporting Dan Andrews and the lockdowns that he's consistently put them into, and they think it's the only solution. I still don't agree that that's the only solution that we should be looking at. Prue's right when she talks about vaccines. I will, though, say I was surprised today. My ex-husband, he works on a construction site, and it's been shut down because one of the drivers that came onto their site was COVID positive and had spoken to 54 people.
Wow.
So their whole site was put into lockdown because not only was that a situation and it was outdoors, but they then decided that the people from the Fairfield LGA were going to be excluded, which was 10% of their workforce. So they were shut down even before this occurred. So there are incidences within the construction industry, and I know in lockdown 1 we kept it open and it was important for the economy. If it is till the end of the month or the 2 weeks to stop the Delta strain, if that's what the health advice is, that's great. I still have concerns about whether it's health advice that's more politically leaning rather than actually based on the health advice all of the time. I still have my concerns about lockdowns being popular, border closures being popular, versus what's actually best for us when it comes to health.
We understand your point. Richo, Kate Jenkins, a feisty, colourful character. She was out of order with what she's done in the last 24 hours. What is it with our obsession with getting celebrities from overseas to come here, to give them special exemptions? Who does this? And no wonder people are upset by it.
Well, I should be. I mean, I don't understand why Kate Jenkins deserves anything, frankly, anything special. She should just get, excuse me, excuse me.
Bless you.
My humblest apologies to everybody.
Excuse me too, Richard.
But I don't know why.
Richard, it's not Jenkins, it's Hopkins, sorry.
Hopkins, I'm just going to say, I don't understand why there's such a fuss. I've never heard of her. I don't care about her, and I hope that people just get over these things quickly. What we should do is you just have one rule, and you apply it to everyone. This is not a joke, this thing, and I don't have it, fortunately, despite the sneezing. But I tell you what I do have. I have a fear that if people just ignore this thing, it can get a lot worse. And so I want a bit of alarmism. I want a bit of fear around. I think we need it.
Prue, what are your thoughts about celebrity oriented exemptions?
Well, it seems to be going everywhere. We've had the sports guys, if you're billionaires, if you've got a big name, and now, of course, the stars. I really think it is appalling when you cited, for example, that poor man who's got cancer. He can't get a flight, and he's desperate to get home. And I just think the average Australian would say that ain't on. I get the fact that sport is supposed to be very healing for everybody, but at the same time, we've got to have rules for I believe equal rules for everyone. And just because you're somebody, a celebrity or whoever with a lot of money, who suddenly the premiers, particularly that one up north, she seems to be starstruck, and she, she just lets them come in, but turns her back, becomes, Attila the Hun when some poor bugger wants to see their dying father.
The hypocrisy, as you point out, has been truly breathtaking and won't be forgotten by a lot of people in this country. Holly, I want to take you back to my conversation with Gaius Whiffen from Turner Freeman. So workplace lawyers are representing clients who work from home, have an accident swimming or surfing on their recess, and then the insurance company accepts the liability and they get compensation. Wow.
Yeah, I think we're in a really murky space with this happening. I mean, I think most employers are accepting that employees are going to have to work at home during these lockdowns. But when we're looking at the volume of people who are out enjoying the great weather that Sydney's put on, well, today, not so much yesterday, but we've had some beautiful winter days and people sharing stories of their great winter swims and out walking the dog. Not quite sure employees should really be claiming from employers any injury they occur whilst out enjoying the sunshine. I think we're in very, very murky territory when we start looking at work from home. I understand that employers have to allow people to work from home if they can do their job from there, and that's fair enough. But when we're talking about outdoor pursuits in between, I'm not quite sure that's the territory we should be wandering into.
You open a giant Pandora's box when that is happening. Now, Richo, you've been following what's going on abroad with this COVID thing. I'm just looking at the cases. Here we are fretting about 105 new cases in New South Wales, 17 cases in Victoria. In the UK overnight, they had 54,000 plus more new cases of infection and 41 deaths. And then tomorrow, it's Freedom Day in the UK. They're abandoning their restrictions. Can you fathom any of that?
No, I can't. While the restrictions are annoying, if you need them, you have to have them. And the UK is in the grip of a terrible, terrible epidemic. There are people dying. There are a lot of people sick. The hospitals are filling up. And what they're doing now is saying, well, let's have more of it. Let's make it worse. I just think this is so dumb, it's beyond belief.
Prue, what's your call on all of that? Of course, from the very beginning, we had the UK not closing their international borders. So COVID had founded itself in the country probably forever. Are we to the situation where they have just said, well, it'll be here forever, we'll just live with it? Is that what we have to do in Australia, do you think?
I think perhaps we will. I think we will be living with COVID for the rest of our lives, as we do with the flu and other viruses. I think in Boris's case, this is very much a political reflection of the community's, intolerance. They're fed up with what's been going on, as we are too. I think Australians are shifting. We're at the end of our tether. We're at the end of our patience. We're annoyed with those who flout the rules and who won't get vaccinated. And we're just sick of the politics between the various states. So we probably will get to that stage too. Once we get more people vaccinated, I really believe that if you've got your vaccination, you should be allowed to be free. And those who don't, well, take your odds and take your bets.
Holly, I'm not seeing freedom coming to those who are getting the double jab, and that was what we were promised at the very beginning. I'm not seeing that apply to bringing return travellers into the country, which I'm annoyed at, and I'm not seeing it given to those who've got the double jab a little bit more freedom. Is it coming, or do you know something we don't know?
Oh, I wish I could tell you I did, Smithy, but I certainly do not. As a backbench first-term senator, I can assure you I'm not privy to any secret details here. But I'm on the record saying that I very much believe that fully quarantined Australians should be able to return, fully vaccinated Australians, should be able to return home and quarantine at home.
Yeah.
I also believe as fully vaccinated Australians, we should be able to travel around the country without fear or favour. I'm off to Canberra tomorrow to do 2 weeks in quarantine, and you guys know me, 2 weeks with my own company, not exactly ideal. Yeah, you guys are laughing because you know how well this is going to go. But, you know, I got to do 2 weeks by myself so that I can attend Parliament and spend 7 weeks in Canberra if the situation stays the same, so that I can't come home for weekends in between.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, okay. See how we go over the next 2 Sundays.
I can't believe that.
I just say, I don't know how Parliament's going to work properly, because it's going to be very hard to have checked on every senator and every MHR to make sure they've all done everything exactly right. That's very difficult to do. And, of course, some of them will have objections.
Yeah, well, Richo, I can tell you I had the whip, the Coalition Senator whip, on the phone to me on Friday multiple times, checking what my travel arrangements were, my accommodation arrangements were.
They're on to you.
Good.
Oh, look, well, they're on to everybody, I can tell you. A lot of the guys from the House of Reps, I think, will stay in their seats. I mean, Richo, as you know, no one cares about us senators. We'll all be down there making sure the legislation passes so the businesses and Australians can access the payments that we're looking at.
I want you to know I care deeply.
Yes.
Mate, me too.
I reckon the Chinese spy ship should be checking up on you, Holly.
Yes, the Chinese spy
What
ship.
are you doing, Prue?
Let's talk about that. Richo, the Chinese love intimidating Australia. They've now got 2 spy ships off the coast of Queensland.
Yeah, I mean, and both of them achieving nothing. It's nice to have the sort of money to just spend like this. The Chinese have got a huge navy, huge army, huge air force. They've got a huge everything. And they just rattle the chain every now and again and make sure we know who's boss. But I think Australia will just do well to ignore them as much as we can, remembering you can't just absolutely crap on them, because these people and their trade keep us going. Without China's trade, Australia would be in all sorts of strife, and you can't find new markets overnight. They would take months, if not years, to develop. So you've got to be very careful about peeing off the Chinese.
Prue, maybe they've just come to Queensland to make peace.
Oh, yeah, right. You know, look, for years, since yum cha was first invented, the Chinese have been stealing from the West. And, you know, whether it be cyber attacks or infiltrating our universities, our research centres, having spies on the ground, stealing our IP, and now they're trying to do it from the water. Well, good luck. You know, this is typical of them, and, you know, it's a different form of Chinese takeaway, and I hope they choke on it.
A different form of Chinese. What a line. I love it. Holly, we just have to ignore them. Richo's right. There's nothing we can do.
Look, there's nothing we can do. And to be fair, we do sort of similar things when war games are going on in other international waters. We send our own ships to have a look at what's going on. Operation Talisman Sabre, it happens every 2 years. RIMPAC also happens in the alternate years. These things aren't state secrets. They happen regularly. They happen scheduled. And I think everyone has a look at what everyone's doing. I think it is unusual. They've sent 2 ships. My understanding is 1 ship is quite normal, 2 is a new thing. But in the current climate, the current global temperature, it's probably not unexpected.
Yeah, OK. Prue MacSween, Senator Holly Hughes and Richo, great to have your company tonight.
Thanks, Smithy.
See you from quarantine next week.
Good on you, Chris.
Good luck. Good luck.